Let's take a look at our passage. This is nonfiction. What that means is that this is going to present information. We also refer to nonfiction as informational text. Now, in order to understand main ideas, we're going to need a system to categorize this information. One way that we can do that is to use our reading strategy here, 5 W's plus H. This is where we go back and answer these questions, and we do this for each paragraph. We answer these questions because good authors will not leave any stone unturned, so to speak. They will answer these questions for their readers. And now all we have to do is, like detectives, go back and find the answers to them. So let's begin with paragraph 1, and we'll annotate. We're going to annotate by searching these answers out. And we'll do this paragraph to paragraph. Once we know the answers to these questions, it'll be easy to write a main idea summary statement or a statement of the paragraph's main idea. And that's what we're reading for. Let's begin with paragraph 1. Immediately following the dramatic end of World War II came a realization that the United States now had to turn its attention inward. Years of fighting battles around the globe had drained the country of important resources. Many industries, such as housing, suffered as both materials and workers were used elsewhere in the war effort. Once the soldiers began returning, it became clear that new jobs and new homes were among their biggest needs. The homes needed to be affordable, since few people had the time or ability to save much during the war. Now we're going to annotate. Let's begin with our who. Our who will be the United States. Now let's move on to our what. What we ask ourselves is, what do we find out about the United States? Here we find out that the U.S. had to turn its attention toward new jobs and new homes. And not just any kind of home, but an affordable home. Affordable homes being absolutely necessary. Now we can ask ourselves why. Why or how? People had the time or ability to save much during the few people had the time or ability to save much during the war. Now we can put this together. Let's put this together. The United States had to turn its attention after World War II towards new jobs and affordable homes because few people had the time or ability to save much during the war. Now here we do have a time period, an event, World War II. Now let's go ahead and put these together into a main idea summary statement. Now let's place this as paragraph 1's main idea summary statement. And we'll take a look at the next paragraph. It was in this situation that many house developers saw a business opportunity. Amid such a pressing demand for new homes, developer William Levitt realized the need for a new method of building. He sought a way to build homes cheaper and faster than ever before. Now let's annotate. Or who will be many house developers, including William Levitt, or what is that they saw a business opportunity. And our why or how is through this need for a new method of building. Now let's combine this together into a main idea summary statement. Many house developers, including William Levitt, saw a business opportunity when they realized the need for a new method of building. This will be our main idea summary for paragraph 2. Now notice we are extracting the main ideas and leaving behind the supporting details. When we have an English assignment where the teacher asks us to paraphrase or to restate in our own words to summarize the main ideas, we do want to write in complete sentences. However, on test day, we'd want to take this skill of summarizing for main ideas and use that to find the main idea and then write that down in just a few words or phrases, not complete sentences. Because really the challenge in the reading comprehension sections of exams will be the time crunch, making sure that we read the passages quickly enough to have time to answer the questions, as we don't have a lot of time in that section to do both. So it also comes down to time management, process of elimination on the multiple choice questions. But we are looking at taking this skill, answering these questions, deciding for ourselves what the main idea is, and then writing that down in just a few words or phrases on test day. Here we get the opportunity to practice the skill, reading for main idea, by going out and finding these answers. Now let's continue on to the next paragraph. He wasn't the only developer to realize this, but he was one of the best at making it happen. He applied the same ideas to homes that Henry Ford had used 50 years earlier in making cars. Levitt did not build a factory with an assembly line of fully formed homes rolling out of some giant machine. Instead, he adapted the assembly line formula into a system in which the workers, rather than the product, moved for a streamlined, efficient building process. Now let's highlight for our main ideas. Or who is Levitt? The he at the very beginning is referring to William Levitt. Or what is that he was one of the best? One of the best developers. Now the question is why or how? Here we see that he applied the same ideas to homes that Henry Ford had used 50 years earlier by adapting the assembly line formula to creating a streamlined, efficient building process. Now let's summarize this into a main idea summary statement. Great. Our next paragraph summary will say, he was one of the best developers as he utilized Henry Ford's assembly line formula into a process that both streamlined and made more efficient the building process for workers. Now let's place this over here for body paragraph 3. Our third paragraph. And let's continue reading. Previously, a developer who completed 4 homes a year had been moving at a good pace. Levitt planned to do that many each week and succeeded. He created specialized teams that focused on only one job each and moved up and down the streets of new homes. Teams of foundation builders, carpenters, roofers, and painters worked faster by sticking to just one task as they moved factory style from house to house. The time and money saved allowed Levitt to build cheap homes of good value. Now let's annotate. Our who again is Levitt. Our what is that he completed 4 homes a week. 4 homes per week. And our how is that he used specialized teams that focused on only one job each and moved up and down the streets of new homes. Thus freeing up time and money that allowed Levitt to build cheap homes of good value. Now let's put this into a main idea summary statement. Great, our summary idea statement will be Levitt built 4 homes a week by creating specialized teams that could focus on only one job each, moving up and down streets of new homes. This freed up time and money, allowing for cheap homes of good value to be constructed. Now let's continue. With this new approach, Levitt oversaw the building of some of the first towns that would eventually be called suburbs, planned communities outside the city. Some critics blame developers like Levitt for turning farmland into monotonous, characterless towns. However, most agree that his contribution to the country following a bitter war was mostly positive. He did vary the style of home from street to street, and his work on simpler home features was influenced by the work of architecture great Frank Lloyd Wright. Now let's annotate. Let's label our who as most people. We can simply highlight most. Now, what about most people? They agree that Levitt's contribution to the country to be mostly positive. And now the question is why or how? He oversaw the building of some of the first towns that would eventually be called suburbs. And he did vary the style of home from street to street, even being influenced by Frank Lloyd Wright. Now let's combine this together into a main idea summary statement. Great, let's take a look at our sentence. Levitt oversaw the creation of suburbs and even was influenced by the architectural design of the famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. For this he is seen by most in a positive light. And let's read our final paragraph. In the end, Levitt's success speaks for itself. After his first success, building thousands of homes in Long Island, New York, he went on to found several more Levitt towns in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and elsewhere. Levitt gave home buyers what they wanted, nice pieces of land with nice homes on top. In a way, by creating houses that so many families could afford, William Levitt made the American dream a more affordable reality. Now let's highlight. Our who or subject here will be Levitt's success. And by who I mean the subject of the passage. The who or subject of the paragraph will be Levitt's success. And the what about that success is that it speaks for itself. Now we answer why or how. Levitt gave home buyers what they wanted. Houses that many families could afford, therefore making the American dream a more affordable reality. Now let's summarize this. Great, let's take a look at our summary statement. Levitt's success speaks for itself, as he gave homebuyers what they wanted, affordable housing that can help them to achieve the American dream. Now let's use our notes to help us answer the multiple choice questions. This is why we annotate for each paragraph the main ideas so that we can have a reference point to quickly go back and find the answers to these questions. Let's begin with number 1. The primary purpose of this passage is to, now we can depend on our main idea annotations to answer questions such as primary purpose. Let's go back and reread our main idea summary statements to make sure we've kept up with all of the main ideas. After World War II, the U.S. had to turn its attention inward by focusing on new jobs and building affordable homes. Many developers, including William Levitt, saw a business opportunity when they realized the need for a new method of building. He was one of the best developers as he utilized Henry Ford's assembly line formula into a process that both streamlined and made more efficient the building process for workers. Levitt built 4 homes a week by creating specialized teams that could focus on only one job each, moving up and down streets of new homes. This freed up time and money, allowing for cheap homes of good value to be constructed. Levitt oversaw the creation of suburbs and even was influenced by the architectural design of the famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. For this, he is seen by most in a positive light. Levitt's success speaks for itself as he gave home buyers what they wanted, affordable housing that could help them to achieve the American dream. Now that we remember all of our main idea summary statements, let's go answer number 1. The primary purpose of this passage is to when we're working through our multiple choice questions, we can eliminate answer choices that are not directly supported by the text. The test writers will try to throw curveballs out there to make these questions more challenging, including just throwing, for example, one word or one phrase that will make the answer choice incorrect. Now let's take a look at our answer choices. A says, to discuss the final days of World War II. That is not supported by the text. B, to suggest that suburban housing is unaffordable. That also is not supported by the text. C, to describe one person's contribution to an industry. Yes, this is what we wrote in our main idea summary statements. And D says to prove that the economy changed after World War II, and that also is not supported by the text. C is the correct answer. Now let's take a look at number 2. Which of the following statements about William Levitt is best supported by the passage? Again, we'll eliminate any answer choices that are not directly supported by the text. A says, he invented the word suburb. That is not supported by the text. He oversaw the creation of suburbs. B says he was unconcerned with the appearance of the homes he built. That's unsupported. In fact, he was inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright. And he aspired to make homes more fashionable by giving them a bit more flair and design. C says his homes were built in Ford-style factories. In fact, the passage says that they were not built in factories, but the idea is the assembly line formula, which was converted into worker-specific tasks, each one having their own job, which then could allow for them to build homes efficiently. D is the correct answer. His efficient methods helped make homes more affordable. This is what this passage is really about. Number 3, which of the following best describes Levitt? Again, we'll use our textual evidence to directly support the correct answer. Courageous patriot, not supported. Strict businessman, that's not supported. Groundbreaking entrepreneur, that's really what our main idea is focused on. Financial mastermind, again, we need what's most supported by the text. That will be answer choice C, a groundbreaking entrepreneur. 4, it can be inferred from the passage that, now when we make inferences, what that means is we are understanding what the author is implying. That is implicit communication. Authors will communicate both implicitly and explicitly what authors imply, and they have many reasons for implying things rather than explicitly stating them. What they imply is what we infer. We make inferences, and we use that based off of context. We determine that based off of contextual clues or context. It can be inferred from the passage that, again, let's eliminate any answer choices that are not directly supported by the passage. Levitt was the only developer working in New York following World War II. Let's eliminate. Not supported. Levitt and Henry Ford created homes the same way. Not true. Other developers did not know how to use the concept of assembly line construction. We don't know that. D says Levitt built homes much faster than was customary before World War II. And yes, that was the main idea. Therefore, bringing affordable housing to many Americans and allowing for them to live their version of the American dream. Number 5, the passage mentions all of the following as reasons for the post-war housing demand, except the... Again, we are going to eliminate any answer choices that do not directly connect to or are supported by the text. We need textual evidence to justify our answers. A says, except the, and this is an except question. Let's also take note of that. On test day, you may want to underline or highlight a word like that. Circle to remember. We're looking for the except or the opposite. We're looking for true false here. Destruction of American homes during the war, that would be a red flag there. That would be a false. So A is most likely correct, but let's continue. B, difficulty of saving money during the war, that is stated. Search for new jobs and new homes by returning soldiers, that also we have written into our main idea summary statements. D says the use of home building materials elsewhere during the war, and this also is supported. A is the correct answer. There's no mentioning of the destruction of American homes during the war. And our last question, the passage suggests that a potential drawback to assembly line style houses is that they can be, again, we're looking at making inferences here. What does the passage imply or suggest? Assembly line style houses, can they be hard to sell? That's not suggested. Not very sturdy, also not suggested. Similar looking, yes. Those are the suburbs. Drawing a bit of a criticism in that regard. Horrible for the environment, just simply not supported by the text. C is our correct answer. Let's remember to only choose the answers that are most supported by the text, because test writers will try to throw curveballs out there and make the questions more challenging by giving answer choices that are similar, seem to be supported by the text, but when we give it just a little bit closer examination, we realize there's something about that answer choice that renders it incorrect, as it's not completely supported by the text.